all the time. She got a booty like a Cadillac. Oh, I could send her in a overdrive.
Here's a story out of Great Britain. This is a tough story to tell. Remember a few weeks ago, I told you about Charlie Gard. He was born almost a year ago on August 4th, 2016 in London. He was a happy, healthy, regular baby boy. Well, for about 3 months, then the parents noticed that he wasn't gaining any weight, so they brought him in for a checkup. A few days later, he was in the hospital and put on a mechanical ventilator to help him breathe. And a few weeks later, he was diagnosed with mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome, a rare disease caused by mutations in various genes that are essential for mitochondria to function. This causes brain muscle weakness, including the muscles to breathe, and organ failure, and for the most part, death is the only outcome. By December, Charlie had begun having persistent seizures and his brain function deteriorated. He became deaf and could not breathe or open his eyes on his own. His heart and kidneys started to fail, and it was becoming more unclear if he was even experiencing pain. In January, the medical team decided to try a new experimental drug. However, as they were in the process of applying for the approval of the treatment, Charlie had more severe seizures, and that caused further brain damage. The doctors at the hospital then determined that doing the new treatment was a waste and withdrew their support for attempting it. The doctors then began talking to the parents about the idea of maybe just letting their son go. That it was time to remove the ventilators and let nature take its course. However, the parents said no, that Charlie was a fighter and they were going to fight for him. So off to court they went. In February, the hospital applied to the High Court to withdraw Charlie's ventilator. They said that they believed the baby was in pain and there was no possibility that the treatment would work. The parents, on the other hand, said that they believed that the child's brain was not as bad as the doctors thought. And they thought that taking the baby to the U.S. for a new treatment would work. But the court didn't see it that way, and on April 11th ruled that it was in the best interest of the child to remove the ventilator. From there, it went on to the Court of Appeals on May 25th. They too agreed with the lower court's decision. Then another appeal to the European Court of Human Rights, but this was also rejected. It was then that the parents wanted to take him home to die. But the hospital also denied that request. After a few days, the lawyers for the parents said they found new evidence that there was a way to save the baby. That a hospital in Rome and a hospital in the U.S. were willing to treat the baby. By this time, the world was watching as the story was on major news outlets. It caught the attention of the Pope, 2 U.S. congressmen, and even Donald Trump, who all said they wanted to help the child stay alive. By this time, the hospital was getting thousands of abusive messages, including death threats. At this point, the parents were also getting abusive messages as this turned into a heated debate on whether the government or the parents should be able to decide the fate of a sick child. So the judge said on July 14th, he would listen to the U.S. doctor explain how he was going to save the child, and he would issue a new ruling on July 25th. But on July 24th, the parents decided to withdraw their appeal. The U.S. doctor told them he was withdrawing his offer to treat the child because he saw no chance of it working. The muscle damage and brain function loss was just too great. The parents released a statement at that time that things had just run out, that the scans had showed that his condition had just deteriorated too much. The parents then wanted to take him home and be with them, but then the hospital refused to let him leave, saying that the ventilator keeping him alive was too big to fit through the door. So they all went back to court on July 27th to make the final decision on where Charlie would go to die. The court sided again with the hospital. They would not allow him to go home. So this past Friday, they finally removed the ventilator and Charlie Gard died. He was 1 week away from his first birthday. His parents said, "Our beautiful little boy has gone, but we are so proud of Charlie." Hundreds of others from around the world have paid tribute to the tragic tot as they shared their heartbreak over Charlie's death. Prime Minister Theresa May said she is deeply saddened by the death of the 11-month-old, and her thoughts and prayers are with his parents. Hundreds of supporters called Charlie's Army lended their voices and money for him to be given treatment, with 1.35 million pounds raised on an online fundraising site. The parents plan to use that money to start a charity foundation in Charlie's name. The mother said that it will give her something to focus on and help create a legacy for Charlie, and that will mean he didn't die in vain. Charlie's death also leaves so many questions about who should have the right in a case like this. Some would say that while the courts are trying to decide what to do, Charlie's condition got so bad that then there was nothing to do. That if they would have allowed the treatment in the early stages, maybe he would be alive today. Should every child have the same rights, whether rich or poor, to get the best medical treatment? I mean, if Charlie's parents were rich, would he be alive today, or would the outcome have been the same? And what will the courts do next time? Well, in following this story, many got to know Charlie, including me, and that cute picture of him dressed in the Superman outfit. Charlie never knew he was, at the time, the most talked about baby in the world, that he was the center of a massive court battle and the creator of a major legal precedent. Just another sick kid waiting for a bunch of grown-ups to decide his fate. Well, wherever Charlie is now, many are going to miss him. This is Eric LeCain here on The Jam on DZRJ Radio.